We're just going to look at the sacrifices of God. We'll begin by reading the whole chapter of Psalm 51. The focus is going to be on verse 17, but we'll begin by reading the whole chapter. Psalm 51. Have mercy upon me, O God, according to thy loving kindness, according unto the multitude of thy tender mercies, blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee only have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Hide thy face from my sins, and blot out all mine iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and uphold me with thy free spirit. Then will I teach transgressors thy ways, and sinners shall be converted unto thee. Deliver me from blood guiltiness, O God, thou God of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing aloud of thy righteousness. O Lord, open thou my lips, and my mouth shall show forth thy praise. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart, O God, thou wilt not despise. Do good in thy good pleasure unto Zion. Build thou the walls of Jerusalem. Then shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offering and whole burnt offering. Then shall they offer bullocks upon thine altar. So verse 17 there, just before that, verse 16 is saying thou desirest not sacrifice. God doesn't, he's not looking for that burnt offering, that outward action, but he's looking for the heart, the sacrifices of our heart, that broken and contrite heart. That is what God is pleased to see. I remember saying to a friend once, if I were broken in the way I should be, I wouldn't be broken in the way I am now. The spirit of self-will must be utterly and completely destroyed, unsalvageable, never to return. Lay your desires, your preferences on the altar and burn it all to ash, and then toss it in the ocean so it can never be regathered. This is the sacrifice that honors God, and we will find ourselves in such a wonderful intimacy with Him. When I am dead, He is alive in me. God gives His perfect strength to those who know their own weakness and His all-sufficiency. So this sacrifice here is a sacrifice of a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. There are other times in the Bible where it mentions a sacrifice of thanksgiving, sacrifice of praise, sacrifice of righteousness. And so I'm just going to read a few verses that mention these things. So first, beginning with the sacrifice of thanksgiving, Leviticus 22, verse 29 says, And when you will offer a sacrifice of thanksgiving unto the Lord, offer it at your own will. Psalm 116, verse 17 says, I will offer to thee the sacrifice of thanksgiving, and will call upon the name of the Lord. Psalm 107, verse 22 says, And let them sacrifice the sacrifices of thanksgiving, and declare his works with rejoicing. The sacrifice of praise. So for this I'll read Hebrews 13, verse 15. which says, "By him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise to God continually. That is the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to his name." And then sacrifices of righteousness. So going back to Psalm 51 and verse 19, so following on from having that broken spirit, broken and contrite heart, verse 19 says, "Then shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offering and whole burnt offering. Then shall they offer bullocks upon thine altar." The heart must come first, and then the outward showing of that which is in the heart. And then sacrifices of joy. So we'll go to Psalm 27, verse 6, which says, "And now shall mine head be lifted up above mine enemies round about me. Therefore will I offer in his tabernacle sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto the Lord." And then we'll return to Hebrews to look at the sacrifice of himself, which is speaking of Jesus. Hebrews chapter 9, verse 26. "For then must he often have suffered since the foundation of the world, but now once in the end of the world hath he appeared to put away sin by the sacrifice of himself." And this led me to Romans chapter 12. Romans chapter 12, beginning in verse 1. It says, "I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." So as Jesus made that sacrifice of himself, we are to present our bodies a living sacrifice for him, which is reasonable.